Good morning, everybody. Um, Thank you very much for the invitation to present the ontology today in the CBC 2024. So for those who doesn't know me, I'm Dr. Pablo Martinez. I'm currently an assistant professor at Northumbria University up in the north in Newcastle upon Tyne. And we've been working, I think, all together in the DICO team on this ontology for about 9-10 months already, almost a year. And we're basically presenting this today. What is the current state of DICO, or what we aim to do with DICO? What is it? How far we've come so far until today, and then what are our next steps? And a call for collaboration of the community, specifically of the CBC, into this ontology. So first of all, just to introduce the team who we've been working on so far on this project is being led by Abel, which has been from the very beginning pushing for this to be needed, with my support, and Roxin, which is he, I think, too, has been working and cooperating with us. Dirk also, thank you for that. And Miss Me, Billfield, more likely on the legal side of things for this ontology. So that's the team so far. And as we said, we're always looking to engage more of the community into this project. So what is DICO? DICO starts as a need to create an ontology that defines how distributed systems can be created, or the knowledge that is needed in order to create systems that are distributed across the architecture, engineering, and construction sector. So when you're thinking of applications of blockchain in the built environment, that is where DICO is needed. So far, we've identified that, well, basically there is a lot of different ontologies for the AEC sector. Some of them has been discussed yesterday and today. And there's also a lot of them in the blockchain domain. And what we want to do with DICO is basically bring them together and create a more, I would say, distributed, but a more generalistic and holistic approach to the knowledge that is already been available, and bring it all together to create those links in the domains that exist between blockchain and construction, or architecture, engineering, and construction. So that is what DICO aims to do. So it is a very specialized ontology that is really tailored for distributed systems for this industry. It is a very, I would say, ambitious goal of knowledge gathering and mapping. So we know that there's already a lot of ontologies available in both domains. So we really need to find out which those are and basically establish the links that already exist between those domains. But we're really focused on the application of those knowledge domains for the production of operations of smart environments that require both knowledge from the built environment and knowledge from blockchain. So we want to create a foundational knowledge base that allows for, I would say, more interesting applications of blockchain into the sector, into the AEC sector. Okay, mostly because we want to see what are all the relationships that probably exist between the capabilities of blockchain and the needs of the sector. Obviously, we want, and that's why we're probably using ontologies here, everybody. We want this interoperability between the different ontologies that already exist and the data schemas that we are available in the sector in both domains to facilitate integration and collaboration between all of those. And definitely, as I said, and I'll repeat myself 20 times, it is definitely a collaborative effort that needs to be done amongst all CBC partners and members and the community to ensure that we are creating something that is comprehensive and useful for most of us. So the project itself wants to bring some clarity and consistency to the relationships and terms that exist between the blockchain and the architecture, engineering, and construction industry. This makes sure that at least when we are aiming to create some kind of blockchain system or distributed system for this sector, basically the uses and the concepts that we use are pretty much aligned with the sector that we're aiming to do or basically we're aiming to design the system. We want to combine different data from different sources to provide a common framework for the development of those type of blockchain applications. And hopefully that will make it for easier development and easier integration of blockchain within the sector, and also improving the overall quality and usability of anything that comes out of those systems into the industry. We hope to improve a little bit the communication in this sector by basically providing a shared vocabulary between both domains. I know that the professionals that work on those domains are probably of different backgrounds, and sometimes the communication can be a little bit ineffective. So we hope that with this reduces misunderstandings and ensures that the projects can run a little bit more smoothly. We hope that this ontology improves the accuracy of queries in regards to blockchain domain applications for the sector, and it's just a little bit of an easier in terms of information retrieval, which is really crucial for some complex built environment projects, and how this integrates within the capacity of the blockchain technology to integrate with the built environment, and definitely support in the end the automation of certain applications of blockchain that are already available in most cases for the construction industry, but definitely in the end particularly important for the adoption of AI and certain things within the sector. So we really want to have all this capacity within it. So you see, it's a quite ambitious idea of having a full ontology that clearly links two different domains that exist in itself at a massive scale. So the DICO project really is, we divided into two different phases. So phase one, which is mostly what I'm going to be reporting on today, focuses more on laying the groundwork for the development of the DICO ontology. So we are basically trying to identify what the project structure should be, identifying the team and everybody that needs to be included to have I would say, the manpower to create and develop this thing, and definitely start creating the ontology itself. Phase two will be more about making sure and testing and evaluating the idea that the eco actually can help to developing certain applications of blockchain or any other type of distributed systems onto the built environment sector. Again, today I think I'm going to be mostly focusing on explaining what the progress is on phase one and what are the next steps within phase one and that drive to phase two. So Taiko is a little bit on this exactly interface between the construction industry and blockchain technology, but not only from the aspect of the built environment, but we really want to see also what actually, everything that will would be needed from a business perspective or an operations perspective to develop and really run applications of distributed systems within the sector. So it's not just about the idea that is going to be created in a way, but we really want to see and engage that IECO should be able to explain and to visualize what are the business capabilities, what are the operational and capabilities of any blockchain activity that you want to create for the construction industry. So it has certain degree of a Venn diagram that is DICO is right in the middle between blockchain and the construction industry, but it also has certain amount of information, or we want to link certain amount of information that should be completely exterior, or I would say, that reaches out way beyond the construction industry and just is for the sake of being able to apply or develop systems that make sense in the context of a business model, for example. So we really want to see this scope of DICO being that key point in the middle that should be able to enable this type of applications to be developed in a more consistent and interesting manner. So, as I said, there are dozens of different ontologies in the AC domain and in the blockchain domain as well. So we want to highlight Daeco as a way of being a nexus between all of those different ontologies. So we want to leverage all of the information and the knowledge that is already been modeled before. And the idea is that we can so far integrate and identify, and it's really what the hardships of this ontology is we have a lot of different knowledge being distributed across all of the sector, and we really need to identify for each one of those what is really important for the integration of blockchain systems into the built environment. So if the last presentation talked a little bit about IFCO and how it can actually define certain components in the built environment. We were thinking, well, it makes sense if you're trying to create a blockchain ontology to at least have a way to define where that blockchain ontology is going to be actuating in the physical world, then you will need some way of explaining where exactly it is located within that built environment, so that you need a specific set of information that might be already available in the IFC. So we need to create that link between the applicability of Daeco or the blockchain activity that is defined in Daeco with certain parts of the IFCO. But we really need to be very key into decided which parts of the IFCO will be available. So we have to do that work for specifically all of the different ontologies that already exist. So it's a very exhaustive, I would say, applied reasoning of what exactly is that needed to explain exactly what we need to present. And so far, what in this slide, what it shows is what we've done so far. So, and we know that there's a lot of more other ontologies that are out there, and we really need to continue expanding. But this is just how far we've gone so far, or which ones are kind of integrated already with Daeco. So we started with, I don't have the pointer, so that's kind of pointless. So we do have as a starting point, as the lower ground, the basic formal ontology, and we definitely use that as our base for the knowledge that is defined in Daeco. And from Daeco, what we really want to achieve so far, we've integrated certain parts of the IFCO to define specifically areas of the built environment in which blockchain applications should be integrated with. We've also added certain information regards to the genial basic ontology that defines certain aspects of blockchain. We have certain aspects of the building topology ontology to define areas within the built environment. We have the systems biology ontology to define certain aspects of it's like a base of what defines certain systems identification and applications for activities. So we use that to define the interaction between different applications of blockchain and the built environment. And the same thing we do for, like, for example, the Ethereum ontology, which is kind of one of the more, I would say, expansive, I would say, knowledge domains in blockchain. But we obviously it's very tied to a specific type of token, which is Ether. So we want to remove that or use the higher levels of that to actually provide a basis for any blockchain or I would say application that we want to do. So identifying each one of the steps on what can provide each one of the current ontologies that are already out there to Daeco to try to exploit all of that and then find what gaps are needed in order to define new concepts and new classes, and also try to keep it as small as possible because it could grow into a very large ontology very quickly. So that's really the complexity of it. So in terms of requirements, as I said, we're trying to leverage BFO as the base and the higher level ontology for Daeco. Definitely, we're using WebProtege at this point, basically the old language to facilitate the distribution of the service data integration and interoperability of our ontology. And we're defined, as you saw in the list in the previous slide, quite detailed architectures using CSML. For this Daeco ontology, what we want to do is an analysis of what would be required in order for those applications to be able to be applied later on in an industrial level, which is basically the goal that we want. So we do have an idea of being compliant, or at least partially compliant, with all of the ISO standards that you see in this slide. So definitely we want to be compliant with any data sharing that is related to IFC, mostly to be interoperable with any part of the AEC industry. We want to be also ISO 50001 for the asset management part, so across the whole life cycle of a built asset. Same thing with the ISO 21830 for like ontology structures, facilitating better data governance and quality. And finally, for the ISO 81346, in terms of the definition of different industrial systems and equipment definitions, to make sure that any blockchain activity we create can be definitely integrated within industrial systems. So far,
Pablo, we are running out of time. I can give you one more minute.
I have like a couple more slides and done. So the domain thesaurus we have so far is 127 classes. This doesn't include classes that are taken from other ontologies. So we have certain links being defined from different ontologies into our own classes. The integration of BFO is finished. So we have already established that any DICO domain knowledge will be a subclasses of the BFO. What we want to do at the next steps is formalize the relationships and properties of each class and subclass as we take them from different ontologies across the domains. We want to create and formalize those links between DICO and other relevant ontologies beyond what's already been shown in the previous slides, and evaluate applicability of DICO through the CPC community. So eventually we will be asking for your engagement to basically review and check that DICO makes sense based on your expert knowledge. And finally, release DICO and proceed to phase 2 while keeping an eye on your feedback. So if you want to connect with us, this is the website and our GitHub, where you can see everything that we've been doing so far, and also the wiki page for it. Thank you very much.